In this session, I'm going to begin with a new chapter, environmental issues. Now, the earlier chapter, strategies for enhancement in food production or the reproductive health. Now, what is common among these three chapters is the growing population. We have seen how to control this growing population in the chapter reproductive health, and we have seen how to produce enough food for this growing population in strategies for enhancement in food production. And now this growing population is creating a major problem that is polluting the environment. Now, in this chapter, we shall know the different causes of environmental pollution and what are all other methods available to control this environmental pollution. And so, we'll discuss those things in this chapter, environmental pollution. So, now let's begin with this chapter, environmental issues. Right. Now, I already told you that human population is growing enormously over the last 100 years. So, this growing human population is putting a lot of demand for so many things, like it is increasing demand for food, increasing the demand for water, and increasing the demand for homes, then electricity, and then roads, and then automobiles and other commodities. Right. Now, we already seen in the chapter strategies for enhancement in food production that uh, how we have increased the food production for this growing population, and the growing population is also draining the freshwater resources day by day. So it resulted, that is it actually resulted in decreasing the fresh waters, okay, availability in rivers, okay, in wells, in lakes, ponds, and so. And everyone, right, they started to construct a home of their own, and they started to use agricultural lands, right. And of course, because of this, day by day the availability of the total agricultural land is also decreasing. So what actually we are doing is converting the forest areas into agricultural land in course of time, and that agricultural land in course of time is being converted into plots, right, and that is used for constructing, okay, homes. Now, as the number of homes increase, definitely homes, not only homes, industries, and so, and all that puts a lot of demand for more production of electricity, right, and laying of roads too, and then increasing in the manufacturing of these automobiles. They create a lot of environmental pollution. We'll see all of them, okay. Now, all these things, they are putting, they are exerting tremendous pressure on our natural resources. So they put, so all these things, they are putting a big, I mean, that's a tremendous pressure on our natural resources, and this is actually contributing. So it also contributing pollution of air, water, and soil. Now, without halting the process of development, we need to check the degradation and depletion of our precious natural resources. For this purpose, the government of India passed something called Environmental Protection Act in 1986. So in 1986, government of India passed environmental, right, protection or environment protection act. So you can also simply mention it as environment act. So in 1986, the government of India passed this Environment Protection Act. Okay, simply you can also call Environment Act, and this actually helps to it helps in protecting and improving the quality of our environment. So it helps in protecting and improving the quality of our environment. So that environment, which includes air, water, and soil. Now let us see the first one. So we'll see all those three, right? Air pollution, we'll see about water pollution, we will see about even the soil pollution and the different methods to control them. First we shall see about air pollution and its control. Now, before we go into this air pollution and its control, first let us see what actually is pollution. Right? Let's look at the definition of pollution. So, pollution is any undesirable change in the physical, chemical, or biological characteristics of air, land, water, right, etc. Right? So is any undesirable change in the physical, chemical, or biological characteristics of, okay, the air, land, you can take like soil, water, etc. So that's what we call pollution. Now the agents that cause pollution are called pollutants. So here, what is a pollutant? So pollutant is any agent that brings about undesirable change, in the environment. So any agent that brings about undesirable change in the environment, we call it pollutants. So we'll see those pollutants. There are so many pollutants, okay, that actually pollute air, water, and soil. Now let's begin with the first one, air pollution and its control. We'll see the first one, causes of pollution. Causes of air pollution. Right now, there is right a harmful particulate matter. The harmful particulate matter is released from smokestacks of thermal power plants, right, and smelters like iron and steel smelters, like they are the one which will be using ore and extracting the metals from them. I hope you may be already knowing in chemistry about these smelters, and right, other industries like cement industries, okay. And so from all of them, a lot of particulate matter will be released into the atmosphere. Right, so what is this particulate matter? So here we need to consider that particulate size should be less than or equal to 2.5 micrometer. So any particle that has this, okay, less than or equal to 2.5 micrometer is considered as the particulate matter, and this particulate matter causes a lot damage to human health. Right, so I'll mention in diameter. Next, again, release of harmful gases. Release of harmful gases like carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide. We'll see that carbon dioxide also creates a lot problem, and sulfur dioxide, and also nitrogen oxides, etc., are harmful gases, and they are released from automobiles or from industries. The major source of this carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, okay, sulfur dioxide, and nitrogen oxides. So for all of them, the main source are automobiles and some industries. So that are okay, that are the one which will be releasing this carbon monoxide, okay, dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and nitrogen oxides. So here day by day the number of automobiles usage is increasing, and that is actually creating a major environmental pollution by releasing these, okay, gases into the atmosphere. Now here there may be many harmless gases are also released. So along with these gases, there may be other harmless gases which will be also released, okay, like nitrogen and oxygen. Now whatever these pollutants, they reduce. So these pollutants are reducing the growth and yield of crops. Is the growth and yield of crops, and also causing premature death of plants, causing premature death of plants. Now they also cause damage to the respiratory systems of humans and also animals, right? So we see that the problems with these air pollutants is that they reduce the growth and yield of crops, and they can also cause the premature death of the plants. That is, even before the plants come to the maturation, they will be dying. And they also cause a damage, okay, a lot damage to these respiratory systems, especially that particulate matter, the particulate matter which is of 2.5, right, or less than 2.5 in diameter, is causing damage to these respiratory systems in case of humans and also in case of animals. Now these harmful effects depend on the concentration of pollutants. The harmful effects depend on concentration of pollutants, right? The more the concentration of the pollutant, the more is the damage caused, and also the duration of exposure of the organism, okay, and also duration of exposure. So the duration of exposure of a particular organism to that particular pollutant will be also right, creates these harmful effects, and also depends on the organism, and also depends on the organism. So the organism, if it is sensitive, then the harmful effect may be very severe. So if it has already the variations that help in right, protecting it from that particular pollutant, then the harmful effects will be less. So it all depends upon, okay, so three things, that is concentration of pollutants is one point, then it is also depends on the duration of exposure. So if you are exposed for a very long time, then the harmful effect will be more, okay, and it also depends on the type of the organism, right. Now let's see some effects of air pollution. So effects of air pollution. Right. Now here the hemoglobin. So in short, I'm writing it HB, has greater affinity to carbon monoxide. We know this carbon monoxide is being released from automobiles. So now there is nothing like every hour a lot of automobiles come onto the road, right, and they release a lot of air pollutants into the atmosphere. Now, one such air pollutant is carbon monoxide, and the hemoglobin that is present in our, okay, blood cells has a greater affinity, so it gets attracted to this carbon monoxide much, and that may result in, okay, combining the hemoglobin with the carbon monoxide, and that can result in the formation of something called HbCO, that is carboxy hemoglobin. So if it is the case, the formation of carboxy hemoglobin reduces the oxygen carrying capacity of hemoglobin. Okay, so this carboxy hemoglobin reduces oxygen carrying capacity by hemoglobin, right? Because already the carbon monoxide binds with this hemoglobin, and because of that the hemoglobin is not able to bind with the oxygen, and that reduces the oxygen carrying capacity. Next, this carbon monoxide, when it is present in lower concentrations, carbon monoxide when present in lower concentrations, it can actually cause headache and blurred visions. So it causes headache and blurred vision. So at its lower concentration, so when carbon dioxide is present in lower concentrations, it can cause headache and blurred vision. Now what happens if the carbon monoxide concentration increases? So the same carbon monoxide, when present in higher concentrations, it can result in, okay, the coma and death. I mean, it leads to coma and death. It leads to the coma and death. I think I'll write here. Okay, fine. So it's leads to coma or death. Right. So kindly adjust here. So it leads to, right, I have written here, coma or death. The next one, carbon dioxide causes global warming. So how it causes the global warming, we'll see in coming sessions, right? And then these sulfur dioxides and nitrogen oxides are responsible for acid rains. They're responsible for acid rains, right? So that's this sulfur dioxide, if it is present in air, so that sulfur dioxide may combine with the water, and it can result in the formation of right, sulfuric acids. So these sulfuric acids, of course, that will come down as acid rains. So here just I have written it, so I'm not balancing any equations here, right? And even the nitrogen oxides, when they combine with water, that also can result in the formation of acids like nitric acids. So these sulfuric acids and nitric acids are the one actually right, called acid rains. So these gases, if they are present in the atmosphere, they may combine with this water present in the atmosphere, and they come down as acid rains at different places. Acid rains have been recorded. So find out, okay, in Google, that the locations where we have seen these acid rains, that include sulfuric acid or nitric acids and so. Then, so these nitrogen oxides present in the atmosphere, right? Uh, the nitrogen oxides, okay, present in the atmosphere, they are going to affect the photosynthesis. And because of this, there will be a reduce in the yield. This results in reduction in the yield, right? So the nitrogen oxides affect the photosynthesis, and because of this, there is a reduction in the yield. Next, these nitrogen oxides which are present in the atmosphere, they react with some volatile react with some, right, volatile organic compounds, react with the volatile organic compounds, okay, and this will be in the presence of sunlight, okay. I mean, by the action of sunlight, right, and this forms, this results in the formation of something called secondary pollutants, right. So that secondary pollutant, like example, is PAN. So secondary pollutant example like PAN, I will expand it for you. The PAN stands for peroxyacetyl nitrate. So the peroxyacetyl nitrate is a secondary pollutant which is formed by the combination of the primary pollutants here. Okay, and this PAN is especially found in photochemical smog. So it is especially found in photochemical smog, right? That is, the smog is actually a combination of smoke and fog, and that actually consists of this peroxyacetyl nitrate. And this PAN is extremely harmful. So this is extremely harmful. Okay, so that is extremely harmful and leads to irritation of respiratory system. It leads to irritation of respiratory system and also eyes. I'll mention here instead of system, respiratory tracts like trachea and the bronchi and bronchioles. So it leads to irritation of those trachea, bronchi and bronchioles. I mentioned it respiratory tracts, and also it results in irritation of eyes. Now let us see how we will control this air pollution. So this especially the air pollutants like particulate matter. So we can avoid this particulate matter by using some instruments. So air pollutants like particulate matter can be filtered by using instruments like something called electrostatic, right? So it's a electrostatic precipitator. Okay, so it's a electrostatic uh, and another one called scrubber. So these are the two instruments which we will be using to filter this particulate matter from the gases that are produced in an industry like thermal power plants. Okay, so first we shall see about this electrostatic precipitator, how it is going to help in filtering this particulate matter. So let's say about electrostatic, okay, precipitator. So now in the case of this electrostatic precipitator, the air that consists of dirt is allowed to pass through a channel, right? So here is the passing of dirty air that consists of the particulate matter, right? Inside this fitted will be a negatively charged wire. So you can see here, right? So this is a wire through which they are going to pass electricity. So when the electricity is passed through this, a very heavy voltage will be passed through these wires, right? And when the electricity is passing, okay, through these wires, it actually produces, right, a corona around each wire. So you'll see here. So this is the corona, right? So that's here, this is the discharge corona. So these are actually the electrode wires. So it has the electrostatic precipitator has several electrode wires. So it has several electrode wires, and they are all maintained with the several thousand volts, okay, passed with the several thousand volts. So due to that high voltage, it actually creates a corona around, okay, each wire. So that's it becomes a negatively charged wire, right? So this due to passage of several thousand volts, what happened, it generated a corona around each wire, and that it is all a now a negatively charged wire. So these are all the electrons that may be present around them, right? And now the dirty air, when passing through these, okay, wires, so when it passes through, it may pass in this way here. So when they are passing through the right, the dot particles which are present, okay, in the air will come in contact with this corona. So that has the electrons, and what happens is, okay, those particles will right get attracted to that electrons, and finally those uh, particulate matter will get a net negative charge. So that is dust particles, okay, while passing through the corona, they get net negative charge. So the dust particles while passing through the corona, they get net negative charge. Okay, I'm sorry, I'll write it again. The dust particles while passing through the corona, they get net negative charge. Okay, right. So now the particles get a negative charge here. Now the later one here, you will find plates which are grounded, right? So these are called the collection plates, are called collection plates, and these are grounded. It means earth. So right, they may act like a right positive plates here. So these are all the particles that have a net negative charge, and when these particles will move, okay, through these plates, so here it should be like the flow of air should be enoughly slow that they, okay, come in contact and then they get attached to these plates. So you can see here, so when the particles are flowing through these plates, the particles will get attached to these plates. Now, so whatever that particulate matter in this right air they are present will get, okay, collected on these plates which are grounded. Now what comes outside is the clean air, because all those particles they get attached to these collection plates, and finally you get a clean air. So you can use this electrostatic precipitator in case of thermal power plants, and this actually helps to remove, okay, more than 99% of particulate matter. So it helps to remove more than 99% of particulate matter, right, from the exhaust. Okay, so I told this you can use it in thermal power plants. So you need to fit this in that smokestack, right, from where the smoke okay, comes out of, and this actually helps to remove that, okay, more than 99% of particulate matter from whatever the exhaust. Okay, and finally it releases the clean air into the atmosphere without that, okay, I mean so the clean air is the one that is without the particulate matter. So this is how the electrostatic precipitator is used, okay, in removing the particulate matter, right? So again we shall see here, so it is fitted with inside right the electrodes, okay, that will be passed with the high voltage, and that generates a, okay, corona. And when the dirty air actually passes through, that is the air that contains okay, the dust particles, or what you say, the particulates. So those particulates, when passing through this corona, they get the negative charge. And right, when these negatively charged particles are moving through these collection plates, which act like okay, a positive ones, okay, and these negatively charged particles will get attracted to these, okay, plates, and they get attached to those plates. So that's what we call them, the collection plates, right? And finally, so almost, so here the flow of air should be very slow, so that it allows the falling of the particles onto these, okay, collection plates. And finally you get a clean air.